Hello, geometry geniuses. This is Mrs. Long, and this, excuse me, so sorry. This rainy weather's got me sniffling and snorting and coughing and all kinds of gross stuff. Anyway, this is Geometry Cycle 1 Week 2 Quiz Review. So, the Cycle 1 Week 2 quiz is what we're going to be talking about. These are questions that are similar to what you'll see on the quiz, but not exactly the same, but should help you review for the quiz. Remember, quizzes are graded assignments. You get unlimited attempts. If you don't do as well as you would like to on your first attempt, then go back and try again. But watch this recording. Watch the recordings from classes. Read through the OHS. Do some of the practice problems and things that I've put in the helpful stuff from Mrs. Long section in the OHS. And you can always stop by the Raise Your Grade session to help as well. I'm always available to answer questions in those. Now, if I were you, what I would do is I would watch each question, pause me, and then go back and do that question in the OHS. So example, we're getting ready to do number 1. After I do number 1, pause me and go do your number 1. All right, this is like number 1 on your quiz. Which type of transformation is illustrated in this graph? Well, we can see that. Let me grab a color here. We can see that this pre-image, this ABC on the left, has been shifted 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the right and up 1. So right 4 and up 1. We can tell that it's a slide or a translation. Okay. All right, remember the other two types of transformations we've talked about so far are rotations and reflections. Okay, a reflection reflects across a line or across a point, which is kind of like looking in the mirror. A rotation spins around a certain point, and it's kind of like the hands on a clock. Okay? All right, so pause me and go do your number 1. All right, here we are on number 2. What is true about every reflection? Well, remember, we said that for reflections, rotations, and translations, the figures have the same size and the same shape, so they are congruent. Okay, so every type of transformation we've talked about so far, they are congruent. The image and the pre-image are congruent. And in fact, we can see that in the example we used for number 1. We had a translation here, and the figures are congruent. All right, so pause me a second and do your number 2. All right, so I'm back with number 3 here. It says, which transformation is represented by this rule? XY becomes negative X, negative Y. In other words, they change the signs on X and Y. Well, all we really have to do is look at this table that I gave you. Hopefully you printed it out earlier in the week or last week, and find the rule. Okay, so this particular one, we changed the sign on X and changed the sign on Y. Looks like this one right here. So it is a rotation of 180 degrees about the origin. So when you get to your question, you can also use this table. This isn't something I really expect you to memorize. It's just something I expect you to understand and be able to do. Okay? Mostly on the end of course test, I see them put the rule there. And so you just have to be able to use the rule. You don't necessarily have to memorize it. All right, go try your number 3. All right, we're zooming right along here, and we're on number 4 now. What is the sum of interior angles on a nonagon? Well, there's several things we need to know here. What is the formula for the sum of interior angles? Well, let's see here. We said that if you take the number of sides and subtract 2 from it, that's how many triangles you can fit in it. Triangles have 180 degrees for their interior angles. So if we multiply those two together, we get the sum of the interior angles. Okay? Now, a nonagon. What in the world is a nonagon? It is a 9-sided figure. All right, so now to find the sum of the interior angles, I'm just going to plug that 9 in for n. So I'm going to say 9 minus 2 times 180, or 7 times 180. And when I do 7 times 180 in my calculator, 7 times 180, I got 1,260. Okay? 1,260 degrees is the sum of the interior angles of a nonagon, or a 9-sided figure. All right, you go try your number 4. All right, so check this out. I'm on number 5 already. And what we have to do is we have to find a missing angle here. We have to find the value of x. So to do that, hang on just a second. I'm going to hit pause a sec. Sorry, I'm actually in a help session too. So the first thing I have to do here is I have to find out how many sides we have, and I have to find out what the sum of all of these angles should be. Okay, so I'm going to use the same formula I used on the question before. I know that to find the sum of the interior angles, I do n minus 2 times 180 equals the sum. Here I have 6 sides. 6 minus 2 times 180, which is the same as saying 4 times 180. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in my calculator now. 4 times 180. And you get 720 degrees. So I know that if I added up all of those angles, I should get 720 degrees. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to add up all those angles. I'm going to start right here with 140. So I'm going to say 140 plus 150. Now they try and trick you here by putting this right angle sign here and make you skip that side, but we know that it's 90 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to put in 90 degrees there. Plus x, which is the one I don't know, the one I'm trying to find, plus 130, plus, and again we have another 90, and we know that all of those added up should equal 720 degrees. We got that from the step before. All right, now I'm going to combine my like terms. Okay, so I'm going to add up 140, 150, 90, not x, because x is not a like term. Remember, like terms have to have the same variable with the same exponent. None of these have a variable or an exponent, so they are like terms. They're actually called constants since they don't have a variable. So I'm going to do 140 plus 150 plus 90 plus 130 plus 90 again in my calculator, and I get 600. So I've got 600 plus x equals 720. Well, I want x by himself, so I'm going to subtract 600 from both sides. And when I do that, I find that x equals 120. Woohoo! And now you're ready to go finish your quiz. All right, good luck. I hope that helped. I will see you in class.